Thanks, Aaron.
Rolling.
What's up, y'all? And welcome to the Soccer Comic Rant. My name is Ian Edwards. And if you're watching this podcast, you're watching it on YouTube at Ian Edwards or Ian Soccer Comic Rant Edwards. You're also listening at Art19, or you can go to allthingscomedy.com. That has it's a website that hosts a bunch of podcasts by some of the biggest comics in America. Bill Burr's podcast is on there. Is also his podcast with Bert Kreischer is on there. Bobby Lee, Tiger Lily. Who else is on there? Danish and O'Neill, Kate Quagley, and there's a bunch of other people I'm not remembering now. Magical, it's just all there. Go to allthingscomedy.com and get your podcasts on. This podcast is also sponsored by onthevolleyapparel.com. And if you go to onthevolleyapparel.com, they got apparel. They got hoodies, tanks, t-shirts, sweatshirts with a soccer hip-hop emblems on the front. And just, go there and check out their gear. Use my promo code ComicRant, and you get 20% off. My boy Elvis over there will hook you up. So do that. And this week's guest, Martin's going to come on, but he's late. He's running on Polish time. But this week's guest is my homie from England, Stephen Howson, and he has a few things going on. He's a YouTuber, and he's a Man United YouTuber. So he has his own channel, Stephen Howson, and he has another channel. This one is supposed to be more United than his other regular Stephen Howson channel, but they both, he ends up, his personal channel ends up being a lot about Man United too, but also you could check him out on the Stratford Paddock channel on YouTube, and him and a bunch of United fans talk about United stuff. And Steve, how you doing, brother?
I'm all right, my mate. How are you? It's been a while.
I know, it's been a minute. Like, I'd like to get you on at least once a year, but we should probably try to do it more. But here's a weird question, right? Here's a weird question. What is it like being a Man United fan from England? Like, what's it like being, like, I'm in America, and it's the same, but there's a lot of differences from being a Man United fan here than it is in England. Like, you were a Man United fan before you were born. I became a Man United fan later on in my life. So what is it like? And basically you're going to be answering pretty much for, like, what is it like for anybody who's a fan of any team, Ipswich Leeds, being a fan of something before you're even born? And because it leads into some of the stuff I want to talk about later.
I don't know. It's like asking someone what it's like to be left-handed. I don't really have any experience of anything else.
Right.
My great-granddad went to his first United game in 1933, and he took my granddad in 1950. My granddad took my dad in 1967, who took me in 1990, and I took my son in 2007. It's just an expectation of this is what you do, and when someone has a child, someone calls dibs on who's buying them the kit. I don't know a young child who's not been bought a kit by someone. It's like this weird tradition that someone has to, who's getting the kit, who, like, I'll get a kit. I don't know. It's weird. I haven't known anything else.
Right.
And my son obviously is a teenager now, and he goes through that phase of where they want to rebel. And we had a conversation. And he was like, "What if I wanted to support another team?" I was like, I was trying to outfox him a little bit, and I said, "Well, I didn't mean it, but I said you can support whoever you want, but I'll never take you." If you support United, we're going to the game, but if you support someone else, cool, I will never take you. And that's the top and bottom of it. Otherwise, it's a great privilege to be born so close. And I had Norwegian TV down in the studio today talking to us, and they was talking about what it's been like not being able to watch live games. and I was like, the last goal I saw at Old Trafford was McTominay's goal against City, and I haven't seen a live goal since.
Damn.
And it feels a lifetime ago.
Yeah, it was a lifetime ago. So here's something I want to ask you. Well, here's something I want to comment on something you said about not taking your son. Like, if he chooses another team, it's almost like I was watching an episode. I don't know if you ever watched the Walking Dead series, but there was first couple of seasons. There's a new Walking Dead series called The World Beyond. So in the second episode, one of the main characters, it goes back to when he was younger and when his father found out he was gay and kicked him out the house because he was gay. And it feels like that's what happens if you're in a family that belongs to a certain team and you tell your father that, hey, I'm going to root for this other team. It's almost as if they treat you like how prehistoric parents did when they found out their kid was gay. They're like, not in my house. Pack your stuff and get the fuck out now.
Being gay won't be an issue as much as being a Liverpool fan.
Exactly. Like, if your son supported Liverpool, like, it'll be worse than those parents who don't accept their kid being any sexuality. It would be worse than that. Yeah.
Way worse. Yeah, way worse. Yeah, I mean, my son had trials for Manchester City when he was younger.
Oh, shit.
And my dad bought him base layer tops to wear, and he goes, "You just don't let it touch your skin."
That's hilarious. How's your son now?
He's 14 now.
14. Is he still playing?
Nope. Finished. It's a long old story,
right.
which we ain't getting into. But he don't play no more. He plays a little bit for fun, but he stopped playing. I think it can go a bit serious in Manchester with kids, and I think the expectations are certainly when they get into a club like United or City. I think they can skew things a little bit and take the enjoyment out for them.
Right. And how many Manchester United games would you say, if you had to guesstimate, have you been to?
There's an app called Groundhopper where you can start filling in your matches, and I think it was about 1,100.
1,100, Jesus.
I was getting up
Damn.
to. Missed a few years when I was in the military,
right?
Where I couldn't quite fill in regular, and obviously when I was on operation, that was obviously a no-no. To be able to get to a game for obvious reasons.
Hey, Cap, I gotta get home this weekend for this derby, but I'll be right back.
Well, you know the Barcelona semi-final in 2008. I left Iraq on the Saturday and got to Old Trafford at 7:30, 15 minutes before kickoff. My dad come and picked me up from Bryce Norton, drove me all the way to Old Trafford.
Oh shit!
Still had sand in my ears and everything. Brought me a change of clothes and some beers. Yeah, it was sick. And then obviously,
bananas.
I can't remember anything after the final whistle. Just one of the maddest nights ever.
Is that when Scholes scored and knocked him out? Yeah.
Right in front of me.
Oh shit!
Right in front of me.
Damn. Yeah, that was a crazy game. I remember that game. So here's some stuff. So let's talk about TV and watching a game in England, because like I don't, I've been in America a long time and I like living here. But if I got deported or I had to move back to England, my greatest fear would be not being able to see the amount of games that I get to see here.
You've got it really cool there, haven't you? Because you kind of get up in the morning and they're just on at the perfect time for you, aren't they?
Well, it's not a perfect time. It's like sometimes it's 4:30 a.m. But say, let's go by, it's changed now. Like, so I have YouTube TV, which shows all the regular channels and some cable channels. So it's like a cable service technically on YouTube TV. So I have NBC, NBC Sports, and any NBC affiliated channel, which sometimes when there's more than one game at the same time, NBC would just put the games on the different channel. You can just scroll to which one you want to watch, right? So for a person in America, that was great. Like, which game do I want to watch? And of course, I'm always going to watch the United game. And then I could possibly later on, like, save the games that I didn't watch and then watch them later. But in England, now it's not that way, but 2 years ago, it was that simple. And for a long time. So in England, what's it like trying to watch the game on TV?
There's the 3 p.m. blackout.
And it's just one money. Like I would pay. I'd pay $49, not for soccer, but for everything, and soccer would be included. Like the Premier League would be included.
Well, I think my Sky bill, but this includes my internet, and it also includes, I have an iPad on there, but my Sky bill is about £130 a month. And on that, I get probably 3 or 4 games per weekend. If you want more games than that, BT usually has 2 games. That's probably an extra £20. And then you've probably seen this weekend, and that's it really. That's all the legal ones you can get. Of course, we all know how illegal streaming works,
right?
And we've been on that game for 10 years or so. It's not great, and I'd personally rather pay for the quality, to be honest, because I hate watching streams with pop-ups or low quality or the sound's not in sync, things like that. With lockdown, they let us have loads more games for free. You could just sit there and watch 2 games back to back. It was awesome. But that's obviously not something that happens regular. And with what's happening this weekend, people have kicked off now.
I want to talk about that. Yeah.
Well, you guys get rinsed on the pay-per-views for like UFC and stuff, don't you? Is it like $50, $75? Outrageous. Like that used to be included with our BT package. So all the pay-per-views was just shown. I've never had to pay a pay-per-view for UFC, except they've done a couple recently. I think John Jones was one. I think Conor's last fight might have been one. I think we've done it twice where we've had to actually pay for a UFC pay-per-view, but that's pretty new and hasn't happened very often. Whereas this weekend, the Newcastle game, it's £15, which, all right, in the grand scheme of things, it's not a lot.
Right.
But when you think how much it is to go to a game or how much that is going to be, because let's be honest, it's just going to be United games that get picked for it because that's where the audience is. It feels exploitative. It feels...
Who's putting those games on?
I think you can get it through BT or Sky, and I think there's another one. There's another service you can get it from, I think. And it sounds like it's the Premier League that have done it as an organisation.
Right.
So everyone kind of gets BT. You can get it on BT, you can get it on Sky. It might be Virgin as well, the other one. But it feels like the Premier League set the price, and that's that. Like I remember a few years ago, there was some talk about Amazon getting involved, and obviously they did take some games, and the coverage is actually really good on Amazon. And there was some talk that Apple had got involved with something, and I remember as it had come in, it was the start of Apple TV, so this is probably 7 or 8 years ago maybe. And I remember thinking, if they charged like $3.99, $4.99 maybe at a push, for every game, I'd be all over that. That'd be quality. Well, for the games that are played away that I'm not going to, obviously all the home games I'm there, but the away games I'd be like $3-4.99. I would imagine there'd be a couple of million people that buy that, and I think the scale that they would get would be amazing. But I do think that there's been a big backlash with it. A lot of people are just saying I ain't paying it, but there's a lot of people who will pay it as well. I mean, we'll be paying it because we'll be doing a watch along for it.
Right. I hope people don't pay. I want listen, a lot of times fans talk about how this costs and that costs and that costs. And we feel like powerless. So we accept the terms and conditions. But I feel like, especially with the way the election is coming up here, and the way the country's going, I'm starting to realize, if any voting system, especially like the democratic voting system, is what they say it is, we really have the power and we can change things. And so I want everybody here to vote. And I want everybody in England in this scenario to not vote by not buying the Premier League, those pay-per-view games. Because if they don't make any money from it, then they'll be like, this is a test. And we, the fans, have to pass this test by not buying this thing. And if it fails, then they'll have to lower. Because, listen, if you start at $15, it's only going to go up from here. So you can't.
They're never going backwards, are they?
They're never going backwards. So you can't make them feel like they can do this. You have to discourage them completely. So if you're a fan and you're watching this, just eat this one. Get the highlights. Do the watch along. Just don't buy this thing, because it's the only way you can use your power to be like, nah, man, we're not. Like, we're buying jerseys. We used to go to games. We used to buy food. We travel to away games. Like, I just bought my friend's kid a kit to make sure that they're a fan of this. You just can't do this to people. There's a point when we have to draw the lines, because all they're going to do is make it harder and harder for you to see the things you want to see if this is a success. So I say no.
Yeah, I agree. A lot of the time when you speak to people from America, they don't seem as sympathetic, I don't think, for the price of tickets, because I believe basketball's outrageous, NFL's outrageous. People tell me it's like $300-400 to go watch an NFL game.
Yeah.
But I think what they miss on that is, there's how many home games in the NFL a season?
8.
8 home games.
If you don't make the playoffs, just 8.
We might have 30.
All right. That's a lot.
So, when we came to LA, we went to the UCLA game and we did tailgating, and it was phenomenal. And I was like, I'd love it if this was a cultural thing in England, but it's never going to take off, because you can festivalize 8 games a year. You can make everybody turn out for 8 games a year. When it's 30, and sometimes, especially over the Christmas period, you might have 4 home games in a week. Like, you can't get that giddy and excited for that many games. And most people will try and go to away games as well, or youth games, or non-league games, and it's a lot of football.
Yeah, and like basketball is 80-something games a season. So even with just 40 home games, there is no tailgating. Baseball is over 100 games. Say again? But it's not a basketball. But I think it's not a basketball thing because of exactly what you said. Because you can't festivalize 40-something games. And baseball is over 100 games in a season. So say it's like 160, something like that. I don't watch baseball, but it's like 160-something games. So you cut that in half. You can't festivalize 80-something games. No, there's no way there's tailgating, Like, a few people might show up early, but that's it. So, yeah, your sentiments, exactly. And now, there's a few questions here, because I saw your, I wonder if I want to get to that yet. So here's another question. You're a Man U fan, right? How much do you and other fans of other teams pay attention to the league on whole? Like, in general, does the typical English fan just focus on their team, or just on the whole league? Because to me, my perspective of fans in England, they, in a weird way, they're in this whole ass league, but they just focus on their team. Like, sometimes I watch the United stand, and the guy's pretty good. He knows everything about Man United. But then he's like, all right, we got Crystal Palace coming up. I don't know much about them, but we should beat them easily. And it's like, has he seen Crystal Palace play? Like, hear me, I don't know, it's because of the luxury of the accessibility. I mean, like, I feel like I have more accessibility, or cheaper accessibility to the entire league, just because it's on NBC. Now they got the internet channel called Peacock, and they put the games on Peacock, and now I have to pay for Peacock to see half of the games. So here is becoming slowly like over there. But
I would say you're probably right. I think most people's general thing is, do you remember Match of the Day from when you was over here?
Yeah. I still watch it now too, illegally.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So obviously, Match of the Day is a big thing. Match of the Day gives you a bite size of every single game. Mm-hmm. I would say most people's experience is that they watch the full 90 minutes of their team, and they watch Match of the Day to have an opinion on the rest of the teams.
Right.
And that opinion's probably whatever the commentator just told me. A lot of people watch Monday Night Football because there's nothing happening on Monday nights. So if your team's played on Monday night, people probably do have, especially as Carragher and Neville are usually pretty analytical about how they explain what's been going on with certain teams. For me, because it's my job, I make it my business to kind of know a little bit more about them. And I like finding weird players to talk about. Like, I'll do maybe a transfer video or a scout report, and I'll say, this kid in the Italian league is exactly what we need, and maybe he's a cheaper alternative to Sancho. Or, you know, I get a bit of pride in finding that. And, you know, there was a player I found ages ago where I had to do this debate, and it was who is the most underrated midfielder in Europe, and it was with my mate Dave. And I knew what I was going to do. I knew exactly what he was going to do. I thought he was going to go with Pogba, but he didn't. Who did he go with in the end? He went with someone who was ranked the second midfielder in Europe. And I was like, I knew he was going to do something obvious like that. So I went with Howson because I thought, this kid's magic. And this is maybe 3 years ago, maybe. I was like, this kid is absolutely magic, and I can see him being a top 5 player. So I was like, even if he's 5 places underrated, and, you know, he was ranked at about 200th in midfield in Europe. Even if he's 5 places underrated, he's always going to be more underrated than the guy that you've ranked second. Because if he's ranked second, he can only be underrated by 1 place. So I stitched him up by doing that. But that was because I was at the time, Leon were flying. I was smashing it. They just got Memphis. They had a wonderful team. And I get a bit of a buzz of watching weird teams. And I get more of a buzz about being able to go and watch them live. Like, I went and watched Marseille live and hung out with Uncle Paddy Evra. We went out to Bilbao, watched Bilbao versus Atletico at the San Mamés, which is what a stadium that is, by the way. We went out to Leipzig and caught Leipzig and Frankfurt. And that's what I get a buzz off going and watching those games and seeing what's going on with those players. That Leipzig game, Naby Keita was playing for Leipzig. Timo Werner was playing for Leipzig. Upamecano was playing. So you get a chance to see, and you keep like Timo Werner scored twice in that game and was sensational. And you're like, oh, keep an eye on that kid because he was good. And even when we went to Marseille, Ocampos, who's literally just been linked with United last month, he was the only player that stood out for me watching Marseille. And you think, I like to go watch these teams and see someone in the flesh, and maybe you just keep a bit of a track on them and see what they're up to and stuff like that. And again, when we watched Athletic versus Atletico, obviously Griezmann was playing, and Griezmann was literally the difference between the two sides. But you get a look at Koke, you get a look at Niguez, you get a look at all of these players, and you go, oh, there's really something about some of these lads that I think there's a reason why they send scouts to the game and don't just come and watch YouTube, isn't there? I think there's stuff that you pick up off the ball from players, and you know, I'm missing that at the moment. But yeah, I'd say most people's in England at least is definitely a little bit of match of the day, maybe some goals on Sunday, and then whatever's on Monday Night Football.
Right, that's what I kind of thought. But you were talking about something that is one of the questions I want to ask you about. So I want to talk about transfers, Man United transfers specifically. And then, because I don't want to forget this question, we didn't get Sancho, right? And then this question also leads into me asking you, what's it feel like to be a Manchester United fan or born into a team before you're even born? Because like me sitting back, I don't regret not getting Sancho. You know, I don't regret. But the rage from Man U fans online is palpable. And I'm like, why don't I feel this rage? There must be something different about me because I'm a fan from over here. Like the emotions of people not getting Sancho. But because you've been around Manchester United's youth team and you go to those games, is there anybody there that in a year or two will make us not feel bad? All right, I got now. My phone is dead, but somebody this morning from England, his name is Lee Hudson. He's on the show sometimes. He's a Southampton fan. he sent me that Man United just bought a youth player, not one of the two that came in the transfer window, but a 16-year-old. I forgot his name. Spanish kid. Do you know anything about him? And I can't remember his name right now.
Nah,
but this guy says
ago,
he saw him play. Mm-hmm.
All right. A couple of years ago, what used to happen is you used to be able to go and watch. I got a good story here, actually. So a few years ago, they stopped you being able to go watch the academy.
Why?
And by the safeguarding children or something, I don't know. But there was a lot of angry old United fans, and I mean like pensioners. They've watched the Busby Babes. They've watched every player come through from the class of '92. They spend all day just watching the junior teams at United. You can go speak to them guys, and they are an absolute fountain of knowledge. And I love chatting to them old guys. But a couple of years ago, they basically stopped it. They made you get this pass, which honestly is about that big. You have to wear around your neck, which is Academy Spectator. You have to wear it visible all the time.
Bigger than one of the Academy prospects. That song.
Yeah, it's a joke. So I'm pretty good friends with, let's just say, some of the family of players that play on the left wing for United.
All right.
I'll let you figure it out. I'm pretty good friends with him, and we'd gone down to Carrington, and the 18s play, and the 18s and the 16s play on pitches next to each other like this. Now, you weren't allowed to look at the under 16s. This is like literally, you're not allowed to watch that game, even though it's at the end of this pitch. You can only look at this pitch. That's the new rule. So you can only watch the under 18s and the under 23s. You're not allowed to watch the under 16s. You're not allowed to watch the under 15s, under 14s, under 13s. Well, a few years ago, this would have been, how old's Mason now? 18, just about to turn 19. So this would have been 5 or 6 years ago. And I went and watched the under 16s. And there's a guy I know, his son was playing left wing. And I was with our friend who's, let's say, family plays on left wing for United. And those two guys, said, let's see how long it takes him to notice. And I went, what? He was talking about me. And I was like, what? And he started laughing. And I was like, all right, whatever. Carried on watching the game. This number 7, skinny kid, mixed race kid, picks up the ball, beats 3 or 4 people, and hits one from about 30 yards. I'm like, who the fuck is he? And they both crack up laughing. And I was like, and one of them was like, what was that, like 3 minutes? It was Mason Greenwood. Right. It was Mason Greenwood at 13 playing under 16s. And running shit. And he was skinny, like he looked undernourished. And this is a time we was allowed to go and watch these. So I go and watch Mason play for the under 16s as a 13-year-old boy. I got to know his family and his dad and his mum quite well.
Oh, cool.
When he had a bit of a breakout just before Ollie gave him his debut, he had a bit of a breakout against Chelsea in the FA Youth Cup. He scored a hat-trick. Well, I was sat next to his dad for that game. This is a kid that you knew was coming. At the time, all the hype was on Angel Gomez. And I'd said some pretty wild shit about how good Gomez was going to be.
Yeah, you used to tell me about Angel Gomez a lot. Yeah.
Well, I remember going, I think this kid's got a higher ceiling. There's just something about this kid. And the only other person I'd ever said that about was Jadon Sancho. Because when City used to come and play United, Jadon Sancho used to make me hold my breath when he'd get on the ball. And I was just like, every time, and he played left wing and he cut inside of the right. Him and Brahim Diaz were unbelievable. But there was something about Mason where you just think, he's not even got into second gear yet. He's in first gear and he's chilling. And this is just too easy for him. Like, he's not challenged. And then you move him into the first team and he still doesn't look challenged. He scored, 14 goals last season? Right. It's an outrageous number of goals for a guy that didn't even play every week. Right. And then you have people trying to hype up other players that are coming through the academy and you're like, they're not even close. Right, there's one kid, the name escapes me now. He broke through at 14. No, oh man. His name's so obvious as well. I can't remember.
Is it Chong?
No, not Chong.
Not Chong.
No, he made his debut at 14 in the under-19s in the youth league.
Oh shit!
And I can't remember his name now. He's one that might go on and do something. But outside of that, all right, Hannibal Mabry looks good.
All right,
He
that's
does
it.
look good.
And is he a defense? Oh, Hannibal, the 16-year-old, the French guy. Is he French? Yeah. All right.
Yeah. Centre mid. He looks good. But there's no one that's coming close to the Mason Greenwood level that I saw. Now, all right, Mason might end up being a world-class player. But you don't necessarily need to be world-class to Brandon Williams was the academy captain. I didn't expect him to come and play as much as he did last season. He took his chance quite well. You don't necessarily need to be world-class to take your chance and get your chance. Ethan Laird's one that I think could do bits. Dylan Levitt could do bits. But we haven't got a Sancho or a Greenwood or anything even close to them guys in the academy at the moment, at least. But the problem is, we ain't getting a run-up on these guys. We ain't getting a chance to go see what they're like before they hit the under-18s. You're only getting a chance to see them in under-18s. So it's hard to really get a bit of an inside track on who's coming up. I know a few of the players, and I'll chat to some of the players, and I'll be like, right, talk to me. Who's good? And sometimes they get it right, and sometimes they don't have a clue what they're on about.
Yeah. Martin's here. He just joined. What's up, Martin? He writes for 442 magazine. He's Polish. He's a Spurs fan. So you got to deal with that. But what up, Martin?
Yeah, I wanted to say just, as I like to stir things up at the very beginning. Nice playing you the other day.
Yes. It's old, Martin. That's old.
You still going on about that? It was 2 weeks ago, man.
No, but everything involved. I have friends who used to play or even work now for Man U. As a matter of fact, a very good friend of mine, Polish Peter Sadowski, is one of the scouts. He works for Man U as a scout. We pretty much grew up together as young reporters. We were both like 20, 21 working for the same newspaper. And then, our careers took different routes because he went to England. Then he came back and started scouting for one of the biggest Polish clubs, built the biggest youth academy in Poland. It's Lech Poznan. They actually sold now, for the record fee to Brighton, they sell the 20-year-old midfielder Jakub Moder for 11 million to Brighton. And he was, when he was building that academy, he was bringing him on board as a very young player. And they already made a lot of money from that academy. So Man U took him from Lech Poznan, and now he works for Man U.
The scout, your friend? All right. So I'm gonna ask Steve some more questions, and then you can jump in. So on your page, I was watching your talk about Project Big Picture, and you both can comment on this. But Steve, you pretty much shut it down on your thing. But the general idea of Project Big Picture, tell me what you do like about it and what you don't like about it for the people that didn't see it on your comments on it.
Okay, so without fans being in the stadium, the rest of the football league in England, the Championship, League One and League Two, that's the professional pyramid. The pyramid actually goes all the way down to level 22, which is non-league and amateur clubs. And my team's at level 15. Like literally, we started a club, we're at level 15 on that pyramid.
Right.
But levels 1 to 4, that's the professional game. Premier League, Championship, League One, League Two. Without fans, now, if you go and do a little bit of looking into the turnovers, most of these clubs are running at about 115% of their turnover. So they're making 15% losses anyway. That was with fans being allowed into the stadium. Most of them get about 40 to 50% of their overall revenue, if not more. Sometimes it's 60 from fans being inside the stadium. And then the remainder's made up with sponsorships, TV money, that sort of stuff. Without fans, basically 50% revenue gone. The TV deal, for some reason, I don't know how this has worked because there's more games than ever on TV. But for some reason, the TV money is now less. I don't know what happened there, but the TV money is less. So they're getting less TV money. They're getting no fans through the turnstiles, and some of them had to refund season tickets even for matches that didn't happen, which they definitely already would have spent. So there's a lot of clubs in danger of going broke, and there's a lot of clubs that have gone broke. My team, we managed to get a stadium. I'm from Dresden in East Manchester.
Right.
Just on the Metrolink line, a couple of stops up from the Etihad. There's a little stadium, holds 3,500. That's the part of Manchester I was born and grew up in. And they've got a level, I think they're level 6, level 7 team called Droylsden, and a semi-professional team. They resigned from the league at the start of this new season because they couldn't afford to keep going because their bar had shut. They literally ran the whole club through the takings in their bar. Because their bar shut, they had to close the football club. Now,
so
Barry
it's like a pub.
Yeah,
it's like
the
a
whole
pub with a football team.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
They couldn't keep going because they lost that much through the bar. Bury went broke. You had Macclesfield was in trouble. Bolton are in trouble. There's probably half a dozen clubs which are really looking at potentially going out of business. So they're hurting for cash. So the Premier League have put together some sort of a wild idea to get the rest of the professional pyramid some cash. Now, on the face of things, it was 100 million goes to good causes, and you're like, oh, that's nice. But the good causes includes the FA, which is one of the most like wealthy businesses in the world. The people that operate and own Wembley, like so, 100 million to good causes brackets the FA, and it was 250 million to the football pyramid, to the 72 clubs that was Championship, League One, League Two. Now you go, oh, that's nice, but it's their money that they were giving them. They was giving them 250 million of their money. So that was like me saying to all my lads, I'm going to pay you all your wages this month for the next year, but then don't come to me in 3 months when you got no money left. Like, that's not how it works. You can't just give me my money and expect me to be like... So they haven't actually increased anything. Then they said, right, well, as a condition of us giving you this money, we want some changes. We want to get rid of the League Cup. We want to get rid of the Charity Shield, the Community Shield. We want, and the thing is with the Community Shield as well, which is meant to be a football family thing, like it raises money for good causes and schools and all sorts of things like that. With getting rid of that, it wasn't even, if they'd have said, we're getting rid of the League Cup and we're getting rid of the Charity Shield because we think there's too much playing time on the players and they need more recovery, I think a lot of people would have gone, do you know what? You're probably right. But they didn't say that. They literally went, we're getting rid of those so we can have longer pre-seasons and play more friendlies where it's more lucrative. And every 5 years, we're going to do some summer Premier League tournament, which you're all going to have to come and play. And you're like, hang on. You're just replacing an actual real competition with some bullshit summer friendly. And let's be honest, that's not going to be in Manchester, is it? That's going to be in Dubai or China or over your neck of the woods. Now, I understand the desire of fans to want to be able to see the team, but this is a pointless bullshit tournament. What is the point in holding this apart from for cash?
For more global recognition and exploitation of the team and players and selling jerseys and all that.
So as part of this package, it was also get rid of that cup, get rid of the Charity Shield, reduce the Premier League by 2 teams to 18 teams. And then when you start looking into the maths of it, well, they no longer have to share the money with those 2 teams because that's 2 more teams that don't have a piece of the Premier League pie. They did have a couple of things which was pretty good, which was capping the price of away tickets. That was pretty good. But they'd already committed to doing that at £30. Now they've just gone an extra step further and made it £20. It makes no difference. And they'd also committed to 25% of future revenue on the next TV deal going to be going down into the Football League. Now, that's the good one for me. That's really good. But they're taking it from being this democratic thing where there's 20 clubs in the league and 20 clubs can get a say. And I think they have to have a 14-club majority before anything passes. You wanted to change that and make it so only 9 clubs could vote, which is like the 9 oldest serving clubs. And then they needed only a 6-club majority to enact any sort of changes. Now, that would mean the Glazers having a massive share of, or a massive say in how the entire English football pyramid is run. And when you consider how badly they've fucked up running Manchester United, nobody wants them to have a say in running the whole football league. And these 6 clubs, after because they only need these 6 clubs to agree on something. They could go back on every little rule that they just put in place. They could say, actually, we're going to negotiate our TV deal separate, so now you guys don't get it. And for me, if Brentford, say, got promoted into the Premier League from the Championship, they've earned the right to have a say on how that league's run. They're a member of the league. They earned it. They got it on merit. So I think it's bang out of order. And I know it's been squashed and they've rejected it now after the negative press that it got. But the fact that they even came up with this idea that they was like, right, these guys are hurting for money. How can we squeeze them?
Right.
It just shows you what sort of absolute dicks that we're dealing with.
Right. Martin, what do you think about it? And I got some stuff to say after, but you just joined, so let me hear what your take on.
Yeah, I mean, I understand, but at the same time, a little bit surprised that with the 18-team Premier League, I don't think that has a chance to go through. I remember I heard an opinion that they might have actually extended the Premier League to 22 teams, which was the case, I believe, 20 years ago. There was 22 teams in the Premier League. Because more teams want to be part of it, and more teams want to get that piece of the pie. And that would be a very difficult conversation to actually go from 20 to 18. I would say all the cups, the traditional cups, should stay because they're part of the culture. I don't see a drop off in terms of prioritizing this or that cup. As I recall, last year, top 4 teams were in the semifinals of the FA Cup, right? Pretty much, like they were all top teams: Arsenal, Chelsea, United, and Liverpool or City, I think. So I mean, winning the cup, it still has a value. I would love to win the cup this year as a Tottenham supporter. I would love,
because you're Spurs, you never won anything.
Well, I mean, that never say never.
61, something like that.
We won a League Cup, I believe, in 2004 or 2003, something.
Really? All right.
Yeah.
For me, I'm a Man United fan, so this would benefit Man United. But I don't want to be in a league that's stacked to the point when it looks like I'm watching the WWE, where you know who's going to win SummerSlam. You feel me? Like, I'd rather compete and win the league as honest as possible. Like, the league is never going to be honest. But this is like paying the FA $100 million means you're going to get, if you're Man City, Liverpool, Man United, it's almost like a bribe to make sure you get the calls and the league votes in your favor for whatever you want. So it's like, I don't want to like be in a league that's owned by my team and a bunch of other teams. But the only thing I would say in its favor is the fact that this was proposed means at some point, somewhere along the line, somebody's going to propose something else that might go against my team and put my team in a position where it's the team at the bottom looking up. So there's also that to look out for the future. You don't want to ever be put in that position because you'll never be able to get out of it. So, but right now, on its face, I'm glad it got shut down. But I know that this is not completely dead yet. There's people who are power hungry and they want to control things, and they're definitely going to fight to try to come back at some point.
Well,
another version of it.
I want to add to your points, Stephen. One more thing. It's a question. It's part statement, part question to you, because I'm hearing very disturbing information from England that they are switching a lot of games to pay-per-view. So you have to pay additional like £15 to watch a single game of your team if it's not on TV, and there are only like 2 games on TV. That it goes in the direction that you will have to pay for every single game to watch. And
we talked about that.
Yeah.
Yes. Sorry to cut you off. We did cover that. Yeah. Martin, watch the podcast.
The issue with the big picture thing is that the noises that was coming out of all the Championship and League One and League Two teams is that they was going to vote for it. They was in favour of it because
they're desperate for money.
That bad. Yeah, they're hurting for cash that bad that they're like, fuck it, yeah, we'll take it.
That's why this was proposed now as opposed to any other time. It's like, this is the time, like the Glazers and them, the way they bought Manu and upset fans, and the way they milk money out of the team, it's like it's a business shark mentality. And our business shark mentality is like, oh shit, we can own. It's like when we had a recession in 2008. Like I could get $100,000 home for $500,000. So why wouldn't I buy now? Like, so when people are desperate and they're trying to get rid of their homes, and then this is that, and then you wait till the market comes back, and then you're fucking rich, and then, but it's not good overall for longevity. So yeah, I'm against it. So what did you think of Man U's transfer window?
I got some good connections with Sancho. Like last summer, when everyone was saying that he wouldn't come to United unless they qualify for the Champions League, and I was saying that's not the case. You'll never see me go strong on something unless I know that it's not the case, because I don't control what happens.
Right.
You know, I've been told stuff basically from the horse's mouth before, and it's been wrong. When Memphis was leaving United, I know that he went round and spoke to Fellaini about what it was like at Everton, and said, "Yeah, I'm going to Everton," and then went to Lyon. Like you get burned, because I in charge of these transfers. So sometimes if you hear me go strong on anything, it's because it's someone's had a word, or more than one person's had a word.
Right.
We got good connections with Sancho, really good connections. Sancho wanted United last year. Sancho wanted United in January. Sancho wanted United all the way up to a couple of weeks ago. The issue is, United just played footsie with them. United, I think they must have thought Dortmund was going to accept a lower fee. Clearly,
Right.
Dortmund didn't need to do that. And United either didn't have the money in the first place, or had no intention of paying anything like what they wanted for him. And I didn't actually fully answer your question earlier before, when you were saying, why is there so much rage about it?
Right. Yeah.
And I think it's because there was so much built up around it. It was the easiest transfer we could have made, except it was 100-odd million. I mean, that's a lot of money for anyone.
Yeah.
But United didn't pour any water on this. United could have come out and said, "We're not going to spend that sort of money in this sort of environment." They could have easily done that, and everyone would have gone, "Oh, okay." But they didn't do that. They kept that rumor going. They allowed that rumor to build momentum.
How did they keep it going? By not saying anything against it? Is it their job?
United let things be known. Look, I don't understand why things get leaked, but things get leaked. You can sometimes even spot the pattern where things have gone out, and you go, "Oh, I know what's gone on here. I know the order that this has gone out in. I can see I know which journalists chat to which guys at the club, and I can see the pattern in where that's just gone out." And you start getting to know which journalists get their info. And there's one journalist that I'm pretty good friends with, and he gets like them direct briefings from people at the club. And I said to him, "I've seen some articles that I know that that's a lot of bullshit." And he goes, "Yeah, but what can I say when this guy at the club tells it me?" He goes, "I have to print it." And he goes, "And sometimes I print it to make sure I get the next story." He goes, "So it's not even about being right sometimes. It's about making sure that I keep the information coming." And it's just some big game that I don't understand. United want this impression of being a successful club that signs crazy players. Well, do you know how you would get that? By being successful and signing crazy players. That's the only way that you get this shit. If United had won back-to-back Champions Leagues and signed Sancho, do you think the fans would be kicking off? No. There'd be parties in the street. But United seem to... They're an Instagram model. We want everything without working for it. That's what we are. And I think that's why a lot of people was mad about the Sancho thing.
Did you want Sancho?
The window... Oh, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I mean, because we'd have got access with the guy. So I absolutely wanted it.
Oh, okay.
He would have been in our office 2 days after he signed, without a shadow of a doubt. But, I thought Tellers is a decent signing. Van der Beek's an interesting signing. We obviously didn't want Cavani. The guy was a free transfer for like 4 months before we went, "Go on in." I think we probably wanted a centre-back. It just feels like it feels a bit rushed. I don't think that Palestri's got much about him. I think Ahmad looks decent, but Palestri, I don't think there's much about him. I think Cavani's a good signing. I actually think he probably suits the way that Ollie wants to play a little bit better than maybe even Marshall does.
Yeah, I think so too.
Let me ask you though, Stephen. Do you think that Pogba would be a great signing off or not?
If we got rid of him?
Yes. Because a lot of people feel like it's a case of that you have a pretty guy and pretty girl, but it's not working out.
Do you know what? Remember when we had Ruud van Nistelrooy?
Yeah.
Ruud van Nistelrooy scored 185 goals in 220 games for United. Something along that. Absolutely deadly striker. But we won one title in the time he was at the club. And that was with Sir Alex. We changed our whole system to fit that one guy. And even though that one guy played well, was successful and scored goals, what we did when we brought Ruud van Nistelrooy in, I actually think Fergie was a visionary at the time he brought Ruud van Nistelrooy in. He started evolving United to a 4-3-3, which became really popular with Jose Mourinho within a couple of years of Fergie doing it. But I think Fergie's execution of it wasn't quite perfect because we'd gone from the 4-4-2 into the 4-3-3, and we had David Beckham and Ryan Giggs, and Ryan Giggs was nearing 30, and David Beckham was never your Cristiano Ronaldo sort of dribbling winger, and that's what 4-3-3 needs. So we moved to essentially what was a 4-5-1 rather than 4-3-3. We tried to squeeze Keane, Scholes, and Varane into a midfield. Now, on paper, that should have just been the best midfield that the world ever created. Those three were amazing footballers, and it should have worked. And for some reason, it didn't. And it wasn't because of Keane, because Keane could work in a midfield three, and it wasn't because of Scholes, because he could work in a midfield three. And Varane came from a midfield three. So why didn't it work? And I think it didn't work because we didn't have the wingers that he wanted to have, even though he had the goal scorer in Ruud van Nistelrooy. But as that evolved, we saw Rooney that would be played wide left and wide right, sometimes down the middle, and the Champions League winning team that we created in 2008. That was what I think he started building in 2000, 2001 when he got rid of York and Cole. He brought in Ruud van Nistelrooy, and he was like, right, this is the new way that we're going to start playing. And I just don't think it worked. And I think Pogba, I think he's been underrated at United, and I think he's been misunderstood at United. And I think he might be our best outfield player. But he doesn't fit how we want to play. I think he needs a whole different system that doesn't suit us. And I was chatting to someone this afternoon talking about how effective United have been when we were the counter-attacking United that went on this mad, crazy run under Solskjaer. And I actually think the Paris game, we've probably got more chance of winning against Paris than we do against Newcastle, which is ridiculous.
Right, yeah.
But we've transitioned into this weird possession team, and we're not very good at it. But we are very good as a team that works hard without the ball. And I actually think with someone that can hold it up like Cavani, I give us a good chance against Paris. And if we played a more functional midfield, maybe even like McTominay, there's no way people can look at McTominay, look at Pogba and go, yeah, the blonde kid's better. It doesn't work like that. He ain't better. He's not better in any aspect whatsoever apart from maybe work rate. He's not a better footballer. But football's an 11-man thing. It's not a one-man thing. And if McTominay fits what the team's trying to achieve better, then he should start over Pogba. And I think United, certainly at the start of this season, and maybe even towards the back end of last season, I think because they're tired, because we're trying to press too hard, I feel like we've tried to become a possession team rather than a team that works hard off the ball. And I think that's where we're going wrong.
So what's the solution? Selling Pogba? I think that's the solution? To sell him?
That's your solution.
No, I'm asking. Yeah, no, because if he doesn't fit the system, you either change the system or you get rid of a player. You know, if it's not working, you don't keep this going for forever, right? You either do this, you either build a team or you get rid of it.
Yeah, but we're only like 3 games into the season. Last season, we had Project Start. You know,
it's been a case with him for 3 years now.
No, we've won stuff with him. But go ahead, Steve. You answer.
I don't know the answer. I think it's a lot more political than we'd all think. You know, even De Gea. De Gea is like the highest paid goalkeeper in the world. Shaw's probably the highest paid left back in the world. Is he even going to play now? Now Tellers has come. Whether we like it or not, the money men do have a say in football. And if, let's say Solskjaer went, do you know what, Henderson's my number one. Tellers is my left back. Actually, I'm going to play Van der Beek and I'm going to bench Pogba. Someone's going to come up and knock on his door and go, listen, mate, you've got £1 million a week sitting on the bench. We either need to get rid of him or you need to start playing him because there's no value for money in what we're doing here. And I imagine Solskjaer's team sheet's already got a couple of names on it when it gets to him.
Right. Oh, damn. But it worked before. It's not working now. But the whole team isn't working right now. And I was thinking about it, and I was listening to some of your podcast mates talk, and before this, and it made sense. I feel like people like Bruno, Maguire, Pogba had coronavirus. He didn't train probably for like 2 weeks leading into the season, and when he plays, he looks out of shape. And I feel like his lack of form is due to his lack of being in shape. He's not up to a Premier League standard, so he looks appalling right now. And I think Bruno's tired, and I definitely think like Maguire should be rested too. Like he's played everything. He's played league games, Premier League games. He's played for England. He had a stressful time in Greece.
He played hard.
Like Ollie. Say what?
He played hard.
What?
He played hard in Greece as well. He played hard.
Well, he's played harder in Greece than he played in some of these games. But I just think he's tired. And Ollie, if Ollie doesn't rest him, he's going to get criticism. Or there's going to be people pointing fingers like, oh, this guy's done as a captain. But as a manager, you sometimes have to make decisions and manage and do things that's best for the player, even if people are going to, in the media, point fingers anyway, because the media is going to point fingers whether you rest him or not. So you might as well rest him and get him mentally and physically ready for, especially with the run of games we got coming up. So why doesn't Ollie do that? And what do you think of Ollie just period as a coach or a manager?
I think this is what the Norwegian TV station was all asking about, because obviously they're big things, Ollie. Their
Right.
entire show is based around Ollie. If he gets sacked, I think them guys are getting sent back home. But yeah, while he's there, they got a whole studio set up in Manchester ready to rock. I think he's made mistakes. I think he's also done some really good stuff in terms of he turned the vibe around. I felt pride watching United at times under Solskjaer. It felt like our team again. It felt like they played the right way. They played with a smile on their face, and it felt wholesome. Whereas Mourinho, it felt snide, and it didn't really vibe. I think if you can point to those two massive unbeaten runs where we got consistency, the first whatever it was, couple of months when he arrived, and then also the run that we went on post January. There's a couple of times where he's hit this real purple patch, and we've looked unstoppable. And we haven't looked like that under any manager. Louis van Gaal with the reputation he's got, Moyes with the players he had, Jose Mourinho could never hit a run like we hit under Ollie twice. That tells me, even if this guy ain't perfect, there's something there. There's, and then you look at the reasons why we went on the skids that we went on. We first lost the form after the Liverpool game, where we had 4 injuries and a half, and Marcus had to stay on. We never got Ander Herrera back into the team, and I think that was the biggest thing that we lost when Ander Herrera lost out of the team. And then when we had a bad start to last season, and around Christmas it was horrific, and I thought, when we had Tottenham and City to play in that same week, I was like, I don't think he sees this week out. I think we're going to lose one, if not both of these games. This is going to be bad. But if you look at what was missing, you had Marshall that was injured, Pogba that was injured, you had Rashford that was out for certain times. We were playing Andreas Pereira, we were playing Dan James. You look at the team that we were getting out week in, week out, and you go, of course we weren't winning. And then he gets Bruno, and we go on this mad unbeaten run again. And you go, this guy has got something. Is he perfect? No. Does he brings subs on too late? But maybe that's because he hates everyone that's on his bench. You know, he ran the team into the ground last season. There was a poor choice to rest in the FA Cup semi-final, which I think was well winnable game for us. But I think this constantly like boom and bust sort of treatment that managers get, it's not fair. You know, you see Jose, he got everybody he wanted in that first window. Pogba, Mkhitaryan, Zlatan, Baye, great window. One of the best windows we've had. Right. The season after, he gets second place. We're back in the Champions League. Mm-hmm. Cool. Now you're getting Fred, Delo, and Lee Grant. Enjoy. Not even one first choice player. You have to improve your starting 11. We didn't improve our starting 11. First summer of Solskjaer gets a couple of decent signings. Second summer, now you get Donny van der Beek, who might be a backup midfielder to Bruno and Pogba. Teller's alright, he's been decent, but you know, when we're thinking about Upamecano and players like this and Sancho, and you end up with a guy who's played 4 games in Serie A and some Uruguayan no one's ever heard of. That's eerily reminiscent of the window that we had. And you got to remember, Solskjaer got rid of Lukaku, Sanchez, Smalling, you know, prime international players on a lot of cash, and they just didn't get replaced. And I think that's the issue, is I don't think they're giving the guy a fair crack at the whip.
Yeah, but this is interesting that you mentioned Smalling, because I can't understand why having so many issues with center backs, because I'm not a big fan of Lindelof. I think Lindelof was very pedestrian last year, and in some games this season as well. Maguire, for me, lacks mobility. You know, like he sometimes, when you have a faster guy, like the situation when Bergwijn scored, he just ran past them. But it's not just Bergwijn. It's generally quick players cause him problems. I like Smalling as a player. I don't know why he didn't get a chance on the second.
Smalling looks like he's dislocated his hip when he tries to pass it to someone. Smalling is a pure defensive defender. I think he's got it. I think he's hard, he's physical. He'll put his head places. He's good, just straight up defending. But United clearly wanted to be a team that was evolving to be a possession-based team. Clearly wanted to be a team that played out from the back. And one of the worst times I had watching United was in the last season when we had the League Cup semi-final. Manchester City battered us in half the game. Bernardo Silva was fantastic. And you watch their press, they lined up in a 4-4-2 and they just pinned, was it Lindelof and Jones? I think they let Lindelof have it and then they pressed Phil Jones. And between Phil Jones just absolutely having his head fall off and him trying to play it back to De Gea, whose head fell off, they just pinned us back. I think it was 13 times I counted, where they pressed those two and we give up the ball on the back of it. And Phil Jones is absolutely decent at playing out at the back sometimes. And he certainly levels above Chris Smalling at doing that. And I just think that we really wanted to be a team that was comfortable playing out from centre-half, which Maguire is pretty good at. Lindelof is pretty good at. Baye can be pretty good at that, even though he's liable to try and throw an overhead kick in there somehow. And I just think Chris Smalling was too much of almost a championship-style fullback. Physical, tough, good in the air, but he can't play out. For all the great
teams
in Italy. Oh, he hasn't so far, and he's nearly 30 now. Is he 30?
He's about 30.
He's just had this incredible season in Italy. Did you see him in the England squad?
Yeah. Right. But what is he doing in Italy? Is he passing the ball out the back, or is he just booting it out? Because Conte, no, he's with Roma. But are they just Roma. Is he are they route one in it in Roma?
They're not going through him to play out the back. Right. They're using him to get on the end of anything that comes direct, and he had a good season. And he did have a good season, and actually he did even look a little bit better on the ball. But I don't think teams are pressing in Italy like they do in the Premier League.
Right. Martin, is there anything you want to ask Steve? I got some questions, but I'm just trying to let you get something in. Anything disrespectful you want to ask a Man United supporter, Mr. Spurs?
Yeah, I mean, what's the solution for center backs? Because it seems like you guys keep buying players, and Maguire was a big buy. Not convinced about him. I've heard a discussion, Jonathan Wilson, with some other writers on the Guardian podcast, and it seems like the conclusion is from a lot of those media people that the defensive situation is still not figured out at Man U. Do you have an answer? Do you think you can find an answer within the team, or you have to find an answer elsewhere?
I think it goes back to what I was saying earlier, whereas I think when we were fit, we were a team that could press. We was a team that was comfortable playing without the ball, and we'd hit you on the counter. And you look at the assets that we've got: Tony Marshall, Dan James, Marcus Rashford. Those players in behind the high line, it's not even fair. And I think also playing without the ball was protecting Maguire, and I think that's why he looked so good under Solskjaer at times, because United played quite deep. And we didn't really let teams in behind us because we weren't a team that was on the ball. We didn't have, 50, 60% possession. We was more like in the 40s. And I think that actually suited him a lot better. As you saw the goals against Tottenham, how many of them were with Maguire on the halfway line or around the halfway line? Far too many of them. And I think that you didn't see that out of Maguire under Solskjaer for the large part of last season, because United was a team that was effective without the ball. So we were in our own half and we were waiting for the right moment to strike and hit teams on the counter. And I think that suited his attributes. I think he's a good defender. And I think he's probably one of England's better defenders, because I think England are a team that wants to play counter-attacking football, or should want to play counter-attacking football. Tuan Zabi, for me, is one of the most natural defenders I've ever seen. But the guy's just made of plastic, can't stay fit. And it's going to ruin his career, because he's phenomenal. Honestly, you've never seen a more naturally gifted defender. But there's even Tyrone Mings would have done a job. Right. Tyrone Mings would have been a fantastic signing for United. All right, is there centre halves in world football like you go Van Dijk aside, Laporte aside? Who's Rio and Vidic? Can you get a Rio and Vidic level centre half partnership? You're going to struggle. There's not many out there that you could say that could stack up to them, if any.
You don't like Toby Alderweireld? You don't like him?
3-4 years ago, definitely, yeah, but I don't think so now. Yeah. I certainly wouldn't think he's in the Rio and Vidic mould now. And I think, where are those centre halves? Where is the Van Dijk centre half? I mean, even Van Dijk a few years ago, just playing for Southampton, there's got to be some players out there that can take the step up to the next level. Maybe you thought that was Maguire. But I think the modern centre half, certainly if you're a team that's in possession, you've got to be able to run. You've got to be quick. And Maguire is not quick with his feet. And you can maybe get away with it a little bit by putting him next to an absolute speedster. But you'll still get targeted and you'll still get found out with that. So I think you've got to readapt the system to be back to what we were good at doing, and that is being a counter-attacking football team.
But the fans hate that. The fans hate that. The rage from that is like, it's like the people are appalled. They're unhappy with the wins. It's like, that's why we got rid of Mourinho. It's like if the goals are beautiful and they're plentiful, yeah, but they want Man U to be a possession-based team that played the Man United Alex Ferguson on the front foot way. Isn't there an 18-year-old defender that's in the squad? Mengi. How is he?
I heard from someone in the first team, shall we say, that he's a fucking animal. But you can draw him into giving penalties away, which with VARs doesn't sound like a good idea. Like when they have training matches, they're like, he's a fucking nightmare to play against. But you can wind him up, and that means yellow cards, that means VAR, that means penalties. We should know. We know how penalties go down. I like Mengi. Mengi's unbelievably quick, and he's an aggressive defender. I don't think he's got the silky, refined sort of defending that you'd get out of Tuan Zabi. Tuan Zabi's just got this like Maldini vibe about him. Like, he was born to defend. Mengi looks like he was born to be a cage fighter, and he found a football stadium. Like, he's just a different animal. He's a good player, though. He's certainly a good player. I'm surprised they overtook Deschamps Bernard, to be honest, because Deschamps Bernard was doing bits and also a bit of a threat at set pieces going forward at centre half as well. So there are some
He's
good
a young
players,
player.
but yeah, I think he's a year older than Mengi, so he'd be 19, maybe 20. But how many 20-year-old centre halves do you see? I mean, even De Ligt, after coming through at Ajax, you get away with it playing in Holland for the biggest team. He was on the bench for Juventus for most of last season.
Right. I feel like just how Maguire's tired, so is Van Dijk from playing out. So he's making mistakes. So, but here's another thing I was listening to, like, some of your friends talk about on the Stretford Paddock channel, and it made me think, because I think it's Gary Neville and a bunch of ex-Man U fans are like, hey, take it easy on Maguire. He might be going through mental issues and blah, 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 blah. And they're like asking the fans to take it easy on him. But those same guys didn't ask the fans to take it easy on Pogba when he was having a bad patch, or even now. So it comes off kind of like, why is the white guy like going through stuff, but when Lingard and Pogba are struggling, just throttle them, yell at them, throw rotten tomatoes at them, and like, does it feel like or look like to you that there is some type of like subconscious or conscious racism? Because I know they used to get mad at Pogba when he had a haircut and we lost the game. And it's like, what's that have to do with it?
The same fans that would crucify Pogba for haircuts and for dancing on social media are the same ones going, because I must get this tweet 3 times a day, do you think we should sign Memphis back? And I go, yeah, I like Memphis. And obviously he was an odd guy. He used to dress like a matador, drive Bentleys and Rolls Royce all around Manchester. But the guy's literally getting rap videos out like every other month. You guys would murder him online for this. He misses one game and you start pulling out lyrics and going, yeah, what's this about then? Like, the online fan base for United is so toxic. And yeah, I've done 2 videos on Pogba and Souness, and I pretty much said I think Souness is just fucking racist, to be honest. The way he went in at Pogba and Lingard during the World Cup. There's also the United Liverpool thing in there as well with Souness, I think, because he didn't go in at all. He went in at Dele Alli and Lingard and Pogba. Didn't really have much to say about Henderson apart from that it was a captain's performance. But remember that if you go back to that Croatia game, Jordan Henderson's performance was one of the worst footballing performances I've ever seen from anyone. It's like he was trying to knock pigeons off the edge of the roof. It was shocking. and he called it like a wonderful performance or something like that. And you're like, what are you on about? How are you paid for opinions on football? I think there probably is something like that. And I know a lot of the foreign fan base call it out. Like, we obviously have good relationships with a lot of the local players that have come through the ranks and play for the team. I know a lot of them watch what we do and follow us and all that sort of stuff. And they'll say, oh, you won't call them out. Well, we will, but we'll call them out on football. And, I even spoke to Jesse and Jesse's family about this, and they were saying some of the abuse Jesse's got's horrendous. And they say, we see you guys give him shit, but you'll go, that was a shit shot, rather than what you fucking do on Instagram, or like, and that there's a way to be critical. And the guy's a footballer. Critique him on his football. At the end of the day, when you think about what some of the players was doing in the 80s, like Brian Robson told me that they used to train on a Monday and a Tuesday. They'd have Wednesday off, so they would drink from Tuesday to Thursday, and they would sit in the same seat in the same pub and do like 30 hours of drinking, and then train Thursday, Friday, and play Saturday. And you think people having to go at Marcus Rashford trying to feed children at the moment. Like, do you think he's like, I'm not going to go training today. I'm going to get on Twitter and ask people to donate for this? No, the guy's trained in the morning. But I know earlier he was getting an haircut before and putting them tweets out, asking the government for some stuff that he wants to see with kids. He's done his work for the day. He's getting a haircut and he's chilling.
The same people,
these guys to train.
Yeah, the same people who are on their phone at work and are very critical if like players do it. Martin, go ahead, and I hope I remember my question after.
If you talk about Lingard, because I have actually one A and one B question. First, 1A, what happened to Lingard? You think it's psychological that they got in his head? Because something happened in the last 2 years to Lingard that he's just shallow of himself and he probably should leave. And then the second part of the question is what happened to Danny Welbeck? He's one of my favorite players. What happened to him at United? I like Danny Welbeck.
Danny Welbeck, I thought, was a great squad player. Like, you can't have 25 world-class players. There has to be levels, don't there? Older players that are there for the last year, younger players trying to break through. You're the player that when they're fit, they play. I think there's always a place for a hard-working winger like Danny Welbeck. And check this out. Do you know Danny Welbeck scored 6 goals for England in 6 shots? His first 6 shots, he scored every single time he shot.
That was my problem. And that was my problem with Danny Welbeck, because he fooled people into thinking he was a clinical finisher. This is what I think of Danny Welbeck. I think Danny Welbeck should be a holding midfielder. I think he doesn't have the calm, cool collectiveness to finish on a regular basis. He panics in the final third. And for him to play in the final third goes against his nature. But I do think he's a hustler. He works hard. And he could either get people the ball or score long-range shots, But I don't think he should be on your front line at all, anywhere in the Premier League. I think he's...
You know what happened with Welbeck? He came through looking like starving Marvin. He was this skinny little dude, and he had tricks like Zaha. He would beat people, and what happened is he grew into this 6'4" monster of a man. Like, the size of the guy's quads is huge. And I just don't think he was ever trained as a youngster to be this bulldozing centre forward. I think everyone thought he was going to be a tricky winger, and he just grew into this fucking absolute unit. And yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe he needs to move into midfield.
Yeah, he needs to move back.
Technical ability.
Right. I think he needs to move back. I think he has the technical ability to not be in a position where he needs to finish or expected to finish on a regular basis. I think he should definitely go back. And so one of the questions was, what do you think happened to Lingard? But Martin asked that. I don't know if you did answer it.
No, I think Jesse, I think his mum was ill. I think she was, I think it was cancer his mum had, and I think it left him looking after his family. He had this little girl just appear from nowhere. I'm not sure what happened there, whether that was some sort of failed relationship, and I honestly don't know, and I don't want to pry and ask. And I think that the pressure of playing for Manchester United is enormous, and I think he made some bad decisions with his social media stuff and some of the dicking around he was doing. Jesse's got a good heart, man, and I think getting Raiola was a bad decision. I think that that's a certain vibe and picture. I don't think that was a good idea, and ultimately, one of my friends is Brendan Loughnane, the fighter that Dana White doesn't like. He was on Dana White's looking for what was it, the Contender Series. He didn't sign him. And Brendan's sponsored by Jesse's clothing brand, and I know he went and spoke to him over the summer actually, and I think he was like, "So, what's the crack?" And he was like, "I'm not leaving." And he didn't leave.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, well,
I think Solskjaer likes him, huh?
I don't know. Maybe he used to. I personally think that he should leave. I know he's a United fan and he's living the dream, and everyone wants to play for the club that you support. But I think our fan base has decided they don't like him anymore, and I don't know what he could do now to win them back. I think go and play football and be happy, I'd say.
Yeah, I feel like you said something about there's a lot of pressure of being a Man United player, and if you can't handle that pressure, then you shouldn't be there, because every Man United player is under that pressure. I'm nothing against him as a person, but I'm not witnessing him handle this. And if you can't, then you should just go somewhere, like you said, and be happy and still have a good career. You've gotten a lot out of this, and you can't discount this. You played for England, you played for Man U, you won some cups, you scored goals in those cups, but he's not handling it right now. And the more you take up a space that could be used for someone else, the less Man United fans will forgive you. So you might as well go.
You could probably go to Bournemouth, Watford,
Yeah.
somewhere like that. Play every week and probably be loved because of his work rate and attitude.
And you'll be able to handle the pressure of that because you're used to the pressure of Man U, and it'll translate to, who knows, you could have a great career. Playing for another team doesn't mean you're a bad player. You know? I'm trying to think.
I have a one add up.
Go ahead.
It's obviously a pure fantasy, but let's say Cristiano Ronaldo is available to bring him back to finish his career at Old Trafford. Do you think it would be a good idea?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you see how many players posted pictures of being on the same pitch as the guy the other day? Every player on that pitch was posting pictures of them with Ronaldo.
Right.
From everything you hear about the guy, how he trains and his work ethic with training, I think he would only be a positive influence on Mason and players like that. And I mean, this is one of the greatest, if not the greatest ever to have played the game. It doesn't matter how old he is. He would find a way. You could play him at Stoke and he would find a way to score goals. Like, I think he's just got an unbending, relentless desire, and I think that sort of stuff rubs off. And I think you need those people who go, no, we're winning, and we will find a way no matter what. I think you need them in a dressing room. I don't think it'd be an issue. Yeah, of course you sign him. Yeah.
What do you think about the media? I mean, when you put it that way, yeah. But like, I keep thinking about Man United and building forward to the future. But based on what you said, it also, like I was telling Martin last week, like, this is why I like the Cavani buy, because Cavani and players that are Cristiano Ronaldo age, this is not the Ryan Robson 33, 35, 36 year, where they're in the pub from Tuesday to Thursday. These guys at this age, like, they want to stay on top. And the desire to stay on top and to do the things necessary to stay on top is in these guys. So when we signed Cavani, I don't care if it was a last-minute deal. I feel like we're getting someone who was third in scoring between him, Messi, and Ronaldo over the last possibly 10 years or whatever that number is. And he intends to keep that up. I feel like, he's the same age probably as Lewandowski. Like, 33 doesn't mean anything no more. Like, all the top forwards. Say what?
Lewandowski is a fitness freak. His wife is a
but that's my point. Like, so is Ronaldo, so is Cavani. Like, all these forwards who are in the top echelon of forwards, they're not like back in the day. Like, Rooney could still be playing if he was. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, but he could be where they are if he had their mentality. He could still be effective. He could still be with Man United.
Cavani's an interesting one because when you look at the forward lineup at United, you see Gallo, who I thought was a good buy because he offered something like totally different that we didn't have in the squad. You've got Rashford, you've got Marshall, you've got Mason Greenwood. Who's working with Mason Greenwood? And there's a guy called Colin Little who's the striker coach at United. Apparently, he's the best finisher at the club. Like, he finished early with injuries, but like, he'll hit anything from anywhere, both feet. And he's one of the reasons why Mason's got the finishing ability that he's got. But who's teaching him on the pitch? Who's the guy, that older striker that's going and saying, do you know what? Here's what we're going to do. Here's how you beat this defender. Who's standing next to him on the training pitch and going, yeah, I like that, but I think you need to change this. That's where you get your learning done, I think. I think that's why you have players of different ages and different experience coming through. That's why a team of all 20-year-olds is going to struggle. Even though they might have the talent, they haven't got the nous. And I think Mason Greenwood learning the nous of someone like Cavani, who's done it all over the place, I think that's invaluable. Like, if you listen to the class of '92 lads about what they learned from Cantona, like, why Cavani could be, he could also be Sanchez and be a dick. We don't know. It could go either way at the moment because he's not even with them. And on this, why has Cavani got to isolate for 2 weeks? Because he came from France. But all of the French players who played for France
go right back in their squads. Right. Yeah, that don't make sense either. So Cavani's not playing on, or is he? He's not on the sheet. He's not available.
His first game's going to be against Paris because he's been isolating. Whereas the guys that are coming from Paris literally come from Paris to play. Like, this makes no sense.
That kind of works out perfect, though, right? He's coming from Paris, and the first game he's going to play is against PSG.
Would you want that?
So
I don't know if I'd want that.
I mean, he knows them, and he has a revenge factor in him. Like Cavani has never been treated. I think the fans at PSG have always treated Cavani the way he should have been treated. But the organization of PSG is always like, hey, you're second to Ibrahimovic. And now that Ibrahimovic is gone, you're second to Neymar and Mbappe. And he's like, I got all these goals. I'm your leading goal scorer of all time. And they're like, we don't give a fuck, Cavani. You're second-class PSG statesman to even the newest people. So
I remember
there's no way he's going to forget that.
I remember back in 2007, there was a Polish striker, Radosław Matusiak. He was transferred to Palermo, and he was put on bench. And people were very, very angry. Like, how come he's not playing? He's a Polish national team striker. He's a great striker. They play this young kid named Cavani, who clearly is not as good as Matusiak. And now Cavani is Cavani, and Matusiak, he's a wine collector. So that's
It's hilarious. It's hilarious. I guess, let me see, probably the last question. Well, answer this one and I'll think if I have another one. What do you think our chances are, because you pay more attention to the league than most English fans, Newcastle versus United this weekend? I think it's going to be a tough battle. I think Newcastle has like 2 wins, 1 loss, and a draw, or am I mistaken? And I thought they had a good transfer window.
Yeah, Newcastle's going to be tough. I actually think they signed some really, really key players for how Steve Bruce.
Yeah.
I rate Steve Bruce. Steve Bruce's record is abysmal, right? I rate Steve Bruce as a guy that gets a job done.
His record is better than Benitez at Newcastle. He's
Newcastle,
of points.
I didn't rate Steve Bruce until he got to Newcastle. I don't rate you as a coach if I don't want you to be Man U's coach. You know what I mean? So, but now I respect him. I see what he's doing. I don't know if this is the first situation where he's kind of getting some of the players that he wants. I know he's saved teams from relegation, but I'm not into relegation saving coaches. I'm into let's win this shit. But I think he's doing a good job, and the buys this summer were good. And even before, when he got Saint Maximin, who knew what a Saint Maximin was? And look what he's doing in the league. And why didn't we get him? You know what I mean? So
I think the game will go down. They'll give us the possession, and we will be terrible with it. We need and that's why I actually think there'll be a better performance at United against Paris than there will be against Newcastle. Right. I don't know if the result will be better, but I think the performance will look better because I think we suit being a team that plays without the ball. And I think Newcastle will allow us the ball. I would. If I was coaching against United, I'd be like, let them have the ball. They don't know what to do with it.
And they're good at that. They do that every week. Give people the ball, or
I don't.
Why is you? Go ahead.
I don't want to be the panicky voice, but you kind of need.
You do want to be the panicky voice. You clearly do.
You kind of need to beat Newcastle. It's you have to win this game. I think you really do.
We have to win. We have to win all our games.
This season's fucked. So, I don't expect Everton to fall off. I think Everton without Europe are going to absolutely terrorise. I think they're going to do a madness. I think they're going to do. I think they're probably going to stick around at the top. They might steal someone's spot in the top 4. Might even be ours. I don't think this season is going to be good.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. It's this is a season where, listen, Solskjaer's in a position where even when he does good, people don't rate him. The way the pundits talk about him, it's almost like he's not even a real coach. And when you take into consideration those two good runs, like Podge is like they keep bringing up Podge, or and Podge hasn't won anything, but they act like Podge is some world-class coach in comparison to Solskjaer, So
as a player or a manager,
here's what I would say for Ollie. Like, and you mentioned it earlier, like he won those games in that run where we thought he was going to get fired. And to me, he finds a way to bring his 5 minutes on the field form as a player in crucial moments and getting that goal into coaching. Like, oh, so y'all going to fire me. Oh, so Man U's going to lose this game. Bring me in, coach. So he finds a way to babyface assassin games that he's supposed to lose and keep his job. So I actually look forward to when he's looking uphill, because I feel like as a player and as a manager, based on his record, that's when he's best. So I'm like, bring these, even though I'm afraid about this weekend, because I don't want to lose any more points, I still be like, if you look at his record, when he's like, there's 10 guns facing him, somehow he gets to his and fires off and clears the board. You know what I mean? So, hey, we'll see what's up. But I do know he may get fired if he has a 5-game bad run.
Yeah,
I think that the talk of Poch is real.
This is
talk of Poch is real.
And this is the thing I actually asked. It's a scenario. I'm very, very curious of your opinion. What you're gonna do? Just to ask Ian about it. I think I asked him in a private conversation though. Okay, Steven, here is a scenario, and it will have an NBA analogy, because in 2006, Stan Van Gundy was fired from the coaching position at Miami Heat because the team was going nowhere, and they rehired Pat Riley for 1 season, and he won the title, right? And then he went back to being the executive, and he's still the executive. What if Solskjaer is on such a bad run that Sir Alex Ferguson goes like, okay, I will be the interim manager till the end of the season. I'll take this team for the remainder of the season, so you have time to find a new manager. What would you do? He's at every game. I see him at every game.
I don't think he's got any desire to be the manager anymore.
Thank you.
Interim manager.
I don't think so. And I don't think he enhances his reputation. The guy walked out of our last title, it was 7 years ago. He's not had a sniff of one since. Why would he tarnish that? I think he understands legacy. I think he understands his stature in it. I think he's also a 70-odd-year-old man who had a stroke recently. I don't think he needs that stress. I think no, I don't think he would take it, and I wouldn't want it either. And I don't think it comes back and it's successful. The issue is United's recruitment has been shite for 7 years. We've spent some money, no doubt, and I don't think it's about the money.
Yeah.
I think it's about the strategy, because you look at players like Daley Blind. Those players would have looked great for Solskjaer and a team playing out the back. But Mourinho came in and was like, bye. Memphis Depay.
I loved Blind. Yeah.
These players that Mourinho got rid of would have looked bad in the Ollie team, and the players that Jose signed, clearly Solskjaer's not a fan of. So I think if you'd had a better strategy, all right, you might have brought in Van Gaal. If you brought in Solskjaer following Van Gaal, they both have similar systems. It's not identical, but it's similar. You probably could bring Poch in if you wanted to, if you believe Pochettino was a good enough manager to be able to work with what we've got. I personally don't believe he is. But if you did, he would make more sense as an appointment than going in a totally other direction, with someone that wants, an entirely different style of football. It'd be the first time that we've gone from two managers that have got a similar sort of ethos. Moyes to Van Gaal, chalk and cheese. Van Gaal to Mourinho, literally 180 degrees opposite. Mourinho to Solskjaer, opposites. And I think when you go from this side to this side to this side to this side, the money that you're spending buying players for this guy is probably wasted, because when this guy comes in, he goes, well, I don't like him. I want my own. and it's just wasted. I think if you had a more aligned strategy, and that's why people want a director of football, because they're thinking it's a guy that's going to see the overall big picture of, right, okay, we'll get Solskjaer, and if that don't work, we'll get Poch, and if that don't work, we'll get, I don't know, Ten Hag, whoever. But they want a strategy.
I feel like Man United is like, it may be right, just any football. Like, we bought the Uruguayan kid and we bought the Italian kid, and people are mad. But when you look at Dortmund, they're like, why do we have to buy Sancho from Dortmund? Why don't we do what Dortmund do? Yeah. So then buying those kids is us trying to do that. But people get upset, and it's like, I don't know. People are you just can't please people. And then Solskjaer, they're upset with him, but it's like, look at what he's built. Like, and you mentioned it earlier, it's like, we had no direction before. We were left, and then we were right. And
I think we lost Ian.
Yeah, I think he just froze.
Yeah, he froze. No, he's coming back.
Yeah, I'm back. I can't be faded, yo. I'm back. But let me just, I don't know if we're going to have more internet trouble, so let me just ask you your opinion on like 3 games this weekend. So Everton versus Liverpool, who you got? Both of you. Either one first.
I think you'll probably see a response from Liverpool, and they're not going to be the Liverpool that lost 7-2, unfortunately, to Villa. But I don't think they beat Everton with the confidence that this is the most confident Everton team in 20 years.
Yeah.
I think 2-2.
2-2.
Well,
I think it's. Go ahead.
That's a good question. Why, if Ancelotti could sign with Everton, why Man U didn't try to sign him as a manager?
Because you had Solskjaer.
No, but would you take Ancelotti in this case?
Yeah, I would take him, but there was no reason to get Ancelotti when he was available.
Well, Everton have given what he wanted. They've signed the players he wanted. What's the point in signing any manager and then not giving him who they want, which is what United do?
Right. So who you got, Martin?
What is it?
I think it will be a draw. I think it will be a goal-scoring draw, probably like 2-2 or 3-3, and a very exciting game. A lot of mistakes, a lot of goals. Probably a very offensive-minded game, just like the game City against Leeds, or the game like Liverpool against Leeds. That's what I anticipate. All
right, next game. I feel like it's going to be a draw too. I mean, it's the most interesting. What type of derby do they call this? What's it called again? Merseyside derby, and even Merseyside derby, I remember ever about to see. Yeah. So I'm completely excited. Like, normally they have one marquee game a week. This weekend, this is a marquee game.
Why didn't they make this the pay-per-view game?
So what?
Why wasn't this the pay-per-view game?
Well, thank God it's not for the people in England, so they could. Is England going to be able to watch this game?
Yeah, this is 12:30 for us. This is
it's free.
Sky.
Yeah,
free if you've got Sky.
Free if you got Sky. All right. What about Man City, Arsenal? Who you both got? Whoever goes first on this one.
I can go first now. Interesting because 2 coaches that know each other very well.
Oh yeah.
There are some rumors about Guardiola's position being less and less safe.
They're never sacking him.
You don't think?
No. They built this club for him. They're not sacking him. They'd sack every member of staff before they sack him. All the players. They'll sack him.
I feel like their Man City is in a conundrum. And here's a conundrum. I feel like you have to keep Pep because Messi's going to come next year. And Messi's only coming is because you got Pep. But the problem is, I don't think, you know how you talked about Alex Ferguson being a 70-year-old man? I feel like Pep is running out of desire. You know, like you could see that he's not into this as much as he used to be. And it's being reflected on the field.
Imagine Ryan Giggs did everything that he did as a player, because Pep did similar at Barcelona.
Uh-huh.
He becomes the reserve manager, he wins stuff. They then make him the first team manager and he wins a treble, and then he wins another treble. Do you see Ryan Giggs quitting after that second treble?
Do I see him quit?
No. But Pep quit on his own team.
Right.
What is that about?
So what does that say to you?
He's a fucking bitch.
He's won so much and he's a bitch.
He's a bitch, man. Yeah.
In what sense, though? Like, he gave up on the team. He figured that he's looking at his legacy, and he said, this is the end of the road for this team.
Where's the guy's loyalty, mate? Yeah, where's his loyalty? He spent more time in Manchester than at his own team. He's a Catalan guy. Where's that little ribbon? Because he's all Catalan. But you left Catalan.
Did he spend more time at Bayern than he did at Barca?
3 years at both of those.
3 years at both of those. He's in his fourth year now. Yeah, I feel like he doesn't have what he used to have. And Arteta, like, has set this Arsenal team up in a pretty impressive way for what they got, and he's relied on the academy players. But, like, Man City is just so unpredictable right now. I would think this game is a tie, to be honest.
I think City probably edge it.
I think City will win.
You think City will win? All right. And
it's a massive problem, you know, and they spend so much money to fix the defense that they make actually Man U look great, because they spend way more money even than Man U, and they didn't get it done. You know, they spent 400 million pounds on defenders, and they still didn't find the right fix.
Mad, isn't it? The reason the defenders look bad is because they make them isolated. You know, the whole system is an offensive system. It's not meant to work defensively. Right. And when you press them and when you counter-attack aggressively, which doesn't happen in Spain, it gets exposed a little bit. I would relish playing against Pep's teams. And United and Solskjaer have done. They've had a pretty good success rate with them, haven't they, recently?
Yeah, we have. Yeah, it's been pretty impressive, especially in seasons where we're supposed to suck and we, like, really do good. And then, I think, did we talk about who do you think is going to win the Man U Newcastle game?
I don't even know if I could call it, you know.
Yeah, you don't even want to think about it?
I never predict a United loss. I think we're going to get spanked. But
0-0.
I think it'll be tough. We could get, it could be a 0-0 and everyone will be fuming.
Yeah. I think 1-0 or we'll win 2-1, but it's going to be tough. I respect this Newcastle team. Steve, thanks for coming on. Is there anything you want to plug while you're on here, like before you bounce?
Like as I mentioned in the show, we got our own football team. It's legit. We in a few years might be in the FA Cup. I'm testing myself as a manager. I'm seeing if I've got what it takes. I talk about it enough. Do I actually know what I'm doing? Well, we are finding out.
How's it going?
We won our first 3 league games. Went to the top of the league, and then I got isolated and we lost last week when I wasn't there.
You didn't do a Moyes. You didn't do a Moyes job, and
I did.
Like zoom in.
Yeah.
And
I FaceTimed in for the dressing room for the team talk, and it didn't really work because we lost 2-0 to the worst team we've played.
Shit.
But we're playing again on Saturday. We're documenting the whole thing with a kick-ass documentary. So go check it out. Just search my name, Stephen Howson, Football Manager, if you want to check it out. Or it's the football team's named after the fan channel. We play in red, white, and black. And if you're local, if you're in Manchester, you can actually come and watch us because there's no restrictions at our level. You can we can have fans in the stadium.
That'd be crazy if like one of your players. Where are you getting your players from?
Well, there's one of our players is going to end up getting a call up for Jamaica, which is mental.
Oh shit.
Probably for the training squad. I'm not sure he'll end up getting a cap, but even getting the training squad's crazy. We've got loads of ex-academy players. We've also got a Brazilian lad called Gabi, That's joined us. Used to play for City. Used to play for Corinthians. Also played for Tottenham as a youngster, and now is playing for us.
What league? What league is this?
Lancashire and Cheshire Division 1.
You're like the Wenger of the Lancashire Cheshire because you have the pipeline because your association with just all Manchester youth football. So you could just like funnel. You could actually end up being somewhere. You know,
we're gonna shock people, mate. I'll send you some links. You need to come.
All right, send me some links.
We ball out. We're a good team. We play football.
Yeah, and I've seen you talk about tactics before, and I don't really know much about tactics. Like I watch the game, and I'm like more like analyzing like just philosophies of stuff. Like I'm not like a tactical person, but I hear you saying stuff like, "Oh, that makes sense. Oh, that makes sense." So yeah, it'd be great to watch and see where you guys go. So that's dope. I'll look out for that more. Yeah, I mean, it depends on your players and the opposition and all that. We'll see. Yeah,
it does.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll send you some links. It's pretty dope.
All right, that's dope. And Martin, what you got to plug, bro?
I have an interview with Tim Howard in the next 442, probably with Gonzalo Higuain in the very next one as well. Mm-hmm. So that couple of movies coming out, but I'm not sure exactly when. I think Stay comes out in January. I think Red Notice comes later in 2021. Mm-hmm. And that's about it. You know, like one thing, Stephen, I want to ask you before you go, because I'm hearing some really disturbing information about coronavirus in England. That there is a lot more cases. Do you think the season can get shut down completely?
I think money talks, and I think our government is making it up as they go along. To be honest, they tried to lock down Manchester yesterday, and the mayor of Manchester basically went on TV, and I'm going to paraphrase him, but I think he said, "Suck my balls." Basically, just said, "We're not doing it." So I don't know what you say when the mayor's like, "Yeah, no." So I think that the government. I looked at the restrictions because obviously the restrictions apply to us. We have a stadium and we have football matches that are taking place, and it seems every single one of the tiers that they're talking about, it seems like organised sport can take place. So it looks like it'll be on for now, although they were talking about a circuit breaker lockdown where they just go, right, 2 weeks, everyone locked down again for 2 weeks. Let's see if we can maybe beat this a little bit. But I think it's just schools. It's schools and it's universities, and I don't know what you do about that. It's just going to keep going around forever and ever and ever, isn't it? Right. I mean, we've had a few scares at work. We all got locked up. I mean, I was isolating last week because someone in the office tested positive, and that made us all have to go locked down on the back of that. But I think it's going to happen all the time. I've got players missing because they got to isolate. I've had people miss training because are missing for a couple of weeks because they got it, or things like that. It's the cases are high, but I don't know how much of that is the ease of tests. I've had 3 tests in the last 5 weeks, 6 weeks. I haven't had it yet.
Right. Well, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Before I go myself, the stuff that you have to look forward to for me is I have a show on the roof of a hotel tonight in West Hollywood. And I also have a show after that in the parking lot of a Big Wang's. It's a chicken spot. And I'm not even joking about that. So that's how Corona is dealing with in my life. And everybody out there who watches the podcast, just be good to each other. Just simple as that. Just everybody be good to each other. Let's individually make this world a better place. I know a lot of people are sensitive. A lot of people have opposing views to each other. But you got to look for the things that you find in common with each other. Like you two, I met you through football and having something in common. We're from different parts of the world, but we bond on that. And those are the things we need to cling to more than anything now. Not the things that separate us, but the things that we can relate to, because we just need that. That's the most important thing. I want to thank our producer, Aaron Brungardt, for hooking this up and doing this thing every week. All things comedy. And everybody out there, love each other and be good. I'm Ian Edwards, Stephen Howson, Martin W. Harris, and we out. Thanks.